Okay, today we are going to go through and draw our project on the board. This is to lay out. Remember, we are talking about here our tic-tac-toe board that we need to get on some paper prior to actually laying it out on our board. Now, we're going to actually draw this front view here on the board. As you can see, as we're looking down, straight down at this, we see our outside edges all the way around. And if you remember, we used a 1x6 board, so the width on that was 5.5 inches, and then we cut it to 5.5 inches too. So we should have a 5.5 by 5.5 inch square. And that's what we're going to actually draw here on the paper, get some practice using our tape measures, and actually see how we do this, because this is practice. We want to eventually do this on our board too, because our main goal here in the end is obviously to find where center line on these holes should actually be. So I'm going to bring this over, and as I draw, I want to start somewhere in the center of the paper. We're going to start off with object lines, or what's called object lines, and I'm going to just draw a 5.5 inch line that is parallel to one of the edges of the paper. And once I got that line, I can come back over here. This doesn't have to be super accurate, but we can get pretty accurate here just by using our ruler. And I'm going to come here now, and I'm going to go again 5.5 inches right on up to there. Come over to the other side. I'm going to lay that out. Do it the same way over here. You need to, it's okay to go ahead and turn your paper. That doesn't hurt anything. And we'll 5.5 inch. Now I draw from the number back. You can draw from this to the 5.5, either way you want to do it. Main thing there, of course, is to get 5.5 inches. And here now we're going, and if we lined it up, if everything was pretty good, which it is, then we will have a nice rectangular shape. We can kind of verify on our board just by laying a board across there, and you see we've got it 5.5 by 5.5. Now, let's talk a little bit just about drawing fundamentals. Okay, this is what we call a front view. Front view. We're looking down on the board, but the front view shows the longest and widest dimensions and shows the most detail. So we've got our 5.5 by 5.5 inch lines. These lines here are what is called an object line. So we need to know that. That's an object line. And of course, if we were drawing this for somebody to build it, we would want to let them know exactly what size. So in order to do that, we of course need some extension lines. And I'm going to go right from, I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap. I do not touch my object lines. So, and I draw an extension line. So that's what this is right here. It's called an extension line. We'll write that on there. And then I got to give it some dimensions as well. So remember I said this is 5.5. So here's my 5.5 inches. And now I'm going to draw my dimension lines. So, and again, I'm going to go straight. Now here, I've got this arrow point, and that is okay to touch the extension lines so that they can see. So, and let's just label this for you, because you need to know these as we read blueprints. This is our dimension line, and of course here is our dimension. Now, in this particular object, we don't just have one dimension, we have two, and we have to make sure that we put all that on there. So I'm going to do the same thing up here. Again, my extension lines, I don't touch the object lines. I stay about 1/8 of an inch away. My 5.5 dimension right here in the center, and I go with my dimension lines over so that I can get those in there. Alright, so that gives us the basic outside edge of the part. But as you look at this, when we make it, as we're looking down, you're not just seeing the outside edges. We also see this little cutout part for the molding, and you're going to be able to choose which way you want to do that. We can go here. This is basically a female radius on there. But we've all got other types. We can put round, corner rounded radiuses on there too. And that needs to be shown on here as well. So to do that, again, that's a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to just come up here. I'm going to lay my ruler on one of the border object lines that I drew. And I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch there and a 1/2 inch there. Alright? Now, if I turn the page, I'm going to line that up. Remember, 2 points make a line. And I'm going to come back now, and I'm going to draw a line. Now, I don't want these don't touch, so we don't want to touch that. And if you recall, as you're looking at this, you see this line starts here and ends here. It doesn't go all the way through. So we want to show that too. And if I'm a 1/2 inch, so I can go here, I start at the 1/2 inch now, and I draw all the way over to 5. Why do I draw all the way over to 5? Well, because I'm 5.5 inches, and 5.5 minus 1/2 will leave me with 5. Alright, so I've got that one. Now, I do the same thing. I'm going to go all the way around on all 4 sides, doing the same thing. So I'll mark my 1/2 inch line and bring my ruler back around, line up on those 2 points, and go from one corner, or the 1/2 inch, to the 5. There, I got that second line. Let's do it again. Going on this side now. Here's my 1/2 inch mark. My 1/2 inch mark from that object line. Bring it back, put it on my object line, and I'm going to draw from 1/2 inch all the way over to 5. Well, now, if I did this right, I can still take my measurements on this and make it 1/2 inch. But if I did all my measurements, I already have my 2 points of the line. Those 2 points of that line are, of course, this point here and this point right here. So I just line that up there, and yep, sure enough, we've got nice transition, so we'll draw that back over there, and there's my internal square. So we're starting now to look like our project should actually look, and we see how that kind of represents this corner as we go through. Now, so our next step here is going to be these vertical lines and horizontal lines. And we need to know something. We've got to do a little bit of simple math here. So if my overall board was 5.5 inches, and right here I have a 1/2 inch from right there to there, and I got a 1/2 inch from right here to right there, that leaves me with 4.5 inches from here to here. Again, 5.5 minus 1/2 minus 1/2 equals 4.5. Just confirm by your ruler. We'll put it on this line, and we see we are 4.5 inches. Alright, so 4.5, and I need to divide that by 3. Again, as we see this, 1, 2, 3. So that 4.5 needs to be divided by 3. So I'm going to end up getting 9 squares total here in the center, or 3 by 3 grid. So, how do we divide this fraction? Well, the easiest way for me is to convert this 4.5 into complete fraction form. And to do that, I take my denominator times my whole number and add my numerator. So I'm 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So I have 9, and of course I didn't get rid of my denominator. My denominator's still there, so I have 9 halves. 4.5 equals 9 halves. I just put it all into a fractional form, and I've gotten rid of the whole number in there. Alright, so I still need to divide 9 halves by 3. So how do we do that? Well, if you remember, I can express 3 as a fraction real easy here too. All I have to do is go 3 over 1. And if we know about fractions in order to divide fractions, we have to take the reciprocal. That's just a fancy word for flipping the fraction. And then we can take and multiply. So to divide that fraction, we take the reciprocal, which is 1/3. The reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. And now I can multiply these across. So I take 9 times 1 in my numerator is 9. 2 times 3 in my denominator is 6. And I end up with the fraction 9/6. Now we take a look here on our scale, and of course we don't see any place or any way to get 9/6. We count here on our 8th scale. This is 8 divisions of an inch. It's not 6 divisions of an inch, it's 8 divisions of an inch. So I can't take a measurement with my ruler. So I've got to do something. I've got to convert that 9/6 back into a whole number and a fraction. And if we remember how to do that, all we have to do here is divide the numerator by the denominator. And as we say, 6 goes into 9 how many times? Well, it only goes into 9 once. And then we're left over with the remainder. What's that remainder? Well, that remainder is 3. 9 minus 6 equals 3, and we get 1 and 3/6. Well, again, I still have that 6 in the denominator, so I can't do that. I can't use this, so I still have to do something else. And if I'm really smart about this, I recognize, hey, 3 and 6 both have something in common. They can both be divided by 3. So let me reduce this fraction. I'm going to reduce that fraction into 1/2, and I end up with the number 1.5. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2, leaves me 1/2. Well, hey, now I recognize I do have a way to measure a half on my ruler, and that is halfway. It's 1.5, so I'm at 0, 1, 1.5. That's the half mark between 1 and 2. This mark right here is halfway between 1 and 2, so I'm at 1.5. Now, if you don't necessarily recognize that, we've got a couple other things here on our rulers. You'll notice that half is the next longest line. Here, that line for the inch is the longest line on your tape measure or your ruler. Your half inch is the next longest line. And then, of course, as we take that, we can look at the line length to determine it. But the other thing we can do is we can come over here and go, well, from 1, how many divisions do I have? Okay, well, here's my 1, so I'm 1 inch. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 divisions, and this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm 4 over 8, 4/8, which also gives me 1/2. So that's how we use our fractions here as we do our layout. So now I want to go ahead and lay these out, and we've just discovered that when we divide 4.5 by 3, we get 1.5. So I'm going to bring back and put this back here on this half-inch line, and I'm going to make my mark at 1.5, and of course 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3, and that should give me 3 equal sections. So come down here, let's draw and go ahead and make another mark at 1.5 and 3. Now I rotate my ruler 90 degrees so I can draw these vertical lines. And here I'm just going to go from here over to there. Okay? And here over to there. And that gives me those vertical lines that I need. Now I also need to do the same thing for my horizontal lines, because right now I just got 3 columns, but I need 3 columns and 3 rows. So if I line this back up again 4.5, I just mark 1.5 and 3. Come over here. It doesn't really matter where you come on the line. You just need 2 points, again, because 2 points make a line. So, and now I can put this back up here, and I get that horizontal line and that horizontal line. So I've got both of those. Now, that's looking pretty good, but again, if we look at our project, we've got these holes that we've got to take care of, and I want those holes to be in the center of each of those squares. So I got to figure out and think, okay, geometry, how do I find the exact center of a hole? Well, if we remember a little bit about our geometric construction, we know we can just draw a line from one corner to another corner this way. Notice if we did our measurements correct, these are all going to intersect that line. And now let me do the same thing going the other way. Going from one corner of the square all the way over to the other corner of the square. And there I have the exact center point of this board, is right there where they intersect. So I've got the one, but now I need to get all the others. Well, that's not a problem. Now we're just going to shift our ruler and we're going to go from corner to corner on each of these boxes till we get them all in, okay? And you see, now we've got that one in there. Let's go this way. And let's go up here with this one block. Alright, there we go. Oh, I've got the center of this one and center of that one, but I still haven't found the center of these others. Again, that's not a problem. Now we're just going to turn our ruler the other way and mark from corner to corner on the other direction. Coming down this way. There we go. Here we go. Corner to corner on all of these. Our measurements are right. Our geometry is right. Now I've got each of these points is where we are going to drill our holes out using the drill press, and we'll have all of those holes in the exact center where we need them to be. And we're going to drill those at 1/4 of an inch diameter hole. So that's how we draw this. Now we've also got a print that looks like and tells people how we actually made this part and what they would need to do to make it as well.